8 a.m. So happy to have you all here with us this morning, and want to welcome you to the Evergreen New Features and Benefits and Project Timeline webinar. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Lesley Miska, and I joined the Office of Aging and Disability Services in February of 2016. I'm the Information Services Manager here, and my primary role with ODES is oversight and management of our electronic data systems, including EIS and the Evergreen data system. With me today on the presentation is Walter Goodlett. He's the Evergreen Project Organizational Change Management and Communications subject matter expert. So you may see other communications from him related to the project ongoing, or you may be involved in some additional meetings with Walter. Also on the call this morning is Nancy Kitchen. Some of you may know her as well. She works for the Office of Aging and Disability Services as a data and compliance specialist, and she's been one of the original Evergreen project participants and helping out with all of the requirements for the system and some of the testing, and she'll be supporting some of the training activities. So if you don't know her, you likely will before the end of the project. Next slide, please, Miranda. So in the next hour, what I'd like to share with all of you is a little bit of project background, a few new features of the Evergreen person record, a high-level project roadmap, including our Release 3 deploy date and all of the training activities and dates associated, some next steps, and then some details for staying engaged and getting some support. And then we'll wrap up with, we'll probably have about 15 minutes of question and answer. So you have been added to today's webinar in a listener mode, so your line is muted. However, we would strongly encourage you to add your questions to the question and answer box. You can use the little Q&A icon to submit questions throughout the presentation. And then at the end of the presentation, at the Q&A section, I will answer as many of those as I possibly can while we're on the call together. And any that I run out of time for, we will certainly still respond to. We're actually collecting all of the questions and answers from all 4 of the sessions of this webinar. And we will post all of the questions with their answers on our project website probably early next week. And you can go there to our project website to the frequently asked questions section anytime to get a running list of FAQs. Some of them also come in through email. So definitely encourage you to check out our project website as well. Next slide, please, Miranda. So if you don't already know, although I'm sure you do because we have sent several emailed communications over the past few years, but if you don't already know, the purpose of the Evergreen Data System project is to implement a single electronic system to replace the Office's 3 major legacy data systems. That includes EIS, MAPSIS, and our MeCare system. The project is being completed in a phased approach, and this is the first phase or first project, which included 3 releases. The first release was in May of 2019, and it was a small pilot release, just a few of our internal state staff using that. And then our second release was our first sort of large major release, and that occurred in June of 2020. And that was for our adult protective services and guardianship conservatorship programs. And then the third release is the upcoming release, which is related to our developmental disabilities and neurobehavioral programs, and that's planned for January of 2023. The primary goal of the project and the system is to enhance the quality of services for our constituents. And we hope to do that and provide some benefits that include automating some of our paper and manual processes, reducing as much of the redundant data entry as we possibly can, streamlining some of the workflows and processes that you currently have in the legacy system in EIS, and improving our data and reporting. Next slide, please, Miranda. Over the next 6 slides, I want to share some of the new features and the benefits of those features that relate to the Evergreen person record. I did want to note, though, that I will be providing a high-level overview, so I might not point out every feature on each of these slides. However, there will be plenty of time between now and the deploy for you to explore the system, and you'll also be able to review these recordings and the slides from this presentation and kind of, take a closer look at all of these features. And you can certainly submit questions by email. We're happy to answer those. The first feature I would like to highlight is the robust, centralized, and shared person record. This means less redundant data capture for all of you. Evergreen uses role-based access, and that determines which person records, functional modules, and forms and data you have access to view, add and or edit, and if your role allows you to have access to remove items. The white bar at the very top of the screenshot here is called the top level persistent navigation. That navigation bar that starts with the little tree icon and the word Evergreen, that is persistent throughout the system while you're logged in. So any of the features that your role has on that navigation bar will be available to you no matter where you are in the system. Similar to EIS, most activity occurs within the context of a person record. So most users will start their activity in the system by doing a person search. Once your search is completed, then you would be navigated into that person's record, which is what I've pictured here in this screenshot is a person record. The person that I'm showing is Lesley Test. And inside the person record, the green bar that appears just below that white persistent navigation is referred to as the person record banner or the person banner. This is similar to the content that's displayed in EIS when you're anchored on a person. Thank you, Miranda. The primary navigation actually appears down the left side of the screen. This is also similar to EIS. So the green navigation bar down the left-hand side of this screenshot is your primary navigation when you're inside of the person record. Each icon represents a different page within that person record. The very first icon is called the dashboard. That's where you would actually land when you first navigate into the person record. But when I took this screenshot, I had already clicked onto another icon. The second icon down is the person summary. This person summary is where you'll get critical information and several of the pieces of data that are currently in your EIS critical information. So this is where you're going to go to get some of those very important pieces of information like crisis level, program classification, assigned case manager, if they have an assigned public guardianship conservatorship representative, financial eligibility, waitlist status, that kind of stuff. The bulk or the meat of the content, though, is in the person record, which is what I am anchored on here, which you can see circled in red. And it's highlighted white because I was on that actual icon. And the record contains the demographic data. It has lots of information. So name, date of birth, all of the person's addresses, phone numbers, contacts, identifiers, you name it, it's here. The record is a single page. So as a user, you can scroll through the page and see all of the sections, or you can click on the toggle icon to the right of the content, top right of the content of this page, which I've circled, and that will open up this additional menu that's right below that, which I've also circled in red here and highlighted for you. This menu is referred to as the quick scroll menu, and it shows you all of the different sections of this page. And you can simply click on any section and the system will automatically direct you right to that section of this page. So you don't have to scroll to it. It's a very quick way to get to a particular piece of content without having to scroll a lot. Each section within the page is delineated or demarcated by a border with rounded corners. I've circled the personal information section of this page in red here, so you can see that. And each section also has the ability to be manually collapsed and expanded by the user using that little caret icon that's to the left of the section header that Miranda's showing you right now. If your role includes the ability to create accessibility, you'd also find at the bottom of each card a green button. The button would start with the plus symbol, the word add, and then whatever the name of that card is or section is, and that would allow you to pop up a modal to add another record to that section of the page. If your role includes edit and or remove access, you would see the appropriate icons when hovering over that section. So if you have edit access, you would see a pencil icon. If you have remove access, you would see a trash can icon, and you would simply click within the section if you wanted to edit, and it would pop up that modal for editing. If you have the remove edit, you would click the trash can icon, it would pop up a modal and ask you if you're sure you want to delete this record before you do that. Next slide, please, Miranda. Some of the data that's captured and maintained in the person record is also automatically displayed on other forms within the system. This has been done in an effort to reduce the need for you to recapture information redundantly. It also will help ensure that we don't have conflicting data because data is being captured in multiple places. Some of the examples of data that's captured and maintained here in the person record but will display on other records include the health information and history sections of the person record. So the health information, which this content is showing you, can be found underneath the record, which we were just on. And this health information section actually has a sub-navigation. So when you click on health information, you get an additional navigation menu that opens up just to the right of your primary navigation. And this is all of the subsections of health information. So some of the health information data will auto-populate into the person record from the linked MIMS record. So examples include the A number, social security number, date of birth when we first create the person record and link it to MIMS. Those pieces of data will automatically populate on the record. And then in an ongoing fashion, things like diagnoses, medications, and medical professional contacts will also automatically populate in the person record from claims that are entered into the MIMS system. So each of the sub-navigation items allows you to click on it. So in this screenshot, we're clicked on allergies, and what it will present to you in the content area is what's referred to as a list page. This is like a table format. It kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet. So each data record or data point has its own row in the table. And you have the ability to, first off, data typically comes in here with the newest or most recently modified record at the top. That's typically how it's sorted. But you do have the ability to resort the data using the column headers. So each column header, you can click on it and it will sort in ascending order. And then if you click on it again, it will change that to descending order. So you can sort by any of the columns that you see. You also, on these types of list pages, will have to the top right of the content, you'll always have a search bar so that you can put in keywords, and that will help narrow the search results that you're seeing in the central content. And if your user role allows you to add records to this area, then you'll have to the upper left of the content a plus new whatever section you're on white button. So in this case, it's plus new allergy because this is the allergies page. So in order to add an allergy, you just click that button, it would pop up the modal, you'd fill out the information. Once you hit save, it would store that and reflect a brand new row in the central content of this page for you. Some list pages like this one also have additional options for opening the record, editing the record, or removing the record. Those items are found under the ellipses, which is the 3 vertical dots that are to the right of each row. And then some list page records also contain additional fields like a description, which has a little bit longer character count. In that case, you would use the little caret icon to the right of the ellipses to drop down what's called the caret drawer. And then that drawer would show you like that additional field or fields of data. And then you can collapse it again by clicking the caret one more time. History is also, I'm not showing you history in this screenshot, but I've circled that icon in the primary navigation. But history is also laid out similarly to health information. It's a table list page format. And those of you that have the ability to add history items will have a plus new history button. And history is a new section. It does not exist currently in EIS, but it's intended to allow users to capture information about the person, history, over time, and to capture it based on the 8 top level charting the life course domain structure. So that will align nicely with the person-centered plan and the new form in Evergreen, which is referred to as the Developmental Disabilities Comprehensive Assessment, which replaces 3 of our existing EIS forms, the BMS 99, the psychosocial, and the B7. So both, or all 3, history, comprehensive assessment, and PCP all have this charting the life course domain structure, so that as history items are captured here in the person record under those domains, when you go in as a community case manager or state case manager to create a comprehensive assessment, it will automatically display for you under each one of those top level domains all the history items that have been captured for that domain. This allows you to not have to move back and forth between the form and the person record to review that data as you are filling out that comprehensive assessment form and capturing that data. Other examples of data that might display on forms such as the comprehensive assessment and or the PCP, and there are other forms that also display data, would be things like date of birth, contacts like a private guardianship conservatorship representative or possibly a natural supporter, assigned case managers, care coordinators, assigned public guardianship representatives, and the list goes on. There are a multitude of data points that might display on a form when you create it, again, just to reduce that redundant data capture. Next slide, please, Nikki. So data capture has also been standardized in Evergreen as much as possible. This is to help improve the data and reporting. So fields that are required to create and save a form into an in-progress status so that you can work on it will be indicated with a red asterisk to the right of the field name. So in this screenshot, I've circled the field type, and there's a little red asterisk. That's probably very hard for you to see, but there's a little red asterisk to the right of type. That means that you need to fill this field out in order to click save in this screen. If a field is also going to be required to submit or complete a form, it will also be demarcated with this yellow vertical bar in the far left of the field. So type in this case is both required to save and required to submit this record. Sometimes a field will have one or the other or both. Many fields have also been predefined with selection lists, pick lists, or what we refer to as vocab lists. That will be indicated with the little caret that's to the right of the field. So yes, thanks, Miranda. Like in type, you see there's a little caret icon. This means that this field is a pick list field or a drop-down field. you can click on it and scroll and select your value, or you can start typing the value that you want into the field itself. And this uses what's called a predictive search. So it will narrow the results that you're getting based on the value that you're typing into the field. Some pick lists are nice and short and you can just find things quickly. Other pick lists are going to be a little bit longer. And so you might want to use that predictive search feature. Most drop downs or pick lists will offer an other option in case the value that you're looking for isn't there, in which case if you select other, you would get the system would provide you an additional field to enter the value for other. Not all drop downs do have an other selection. If there isn't an other selection, that's because we do want you to select one of the values that's present in that vocab list. The other cool field validation or field type that we have is a date picker. So in Evergreen, date fields are going to have this icon that I've circled here that looks like a little calendar. And this calendar, if you click on it, will open up a bigger little calendar picker. And so you can select your date from that calendar, or you can type your date into the date field just using your numeric keys. As long as it's in the appropriate date format, it will allow you to save the record. If you key it in and you don't pick it from the picker and it's not in the right format, it will provide you a field level error that says, you know, please enter your date in the right format. All fields do have at least some field level validation to ensure proper formatting, such as are they all numeric characters like dates? They have to be all numeric characters. They have to be in the appropriate format, MMDD, YYYY. Or also like even text fields, for example, like a note or description field. They might allow alphanumeric and some special characters, but maybe not all special characters. So it will ensure appropriate formatting, and all fields also have character limits. Note, comment, description fields, large text fields typically have a 10,000 character limit, and each text field does have that character counter at the bottom. So it will tell you, it will count down as you're keying into it, how many characters you have left. And if you exceed the character limit, it will provide you a warning and it will not allow you to save the record, and you'll have to modify that before saving. Next slide, please, Miranda. Evergreen also supports the upload of scanned images and documents, which I know is very exciting for many of you. It's very exciting for us as well. But it allows us to attach these records at the person record level, which is what I'm showing you here. Or some forms also allow you to attach images, documents right within the specific form. So, for example, the developmental disabilities intake and eligibility assessment will allow for specific forms related to that process to be uploaded directly to that form. Similarly, comprehensive assessment, person-centered plan also allow attachments directly to those for things like agendas and participant lists and et cetera. But general attachments that are related to the person can be added at the person record. And if you have the ability to attach records, you'll simply select your plus new attachment button, and then it will pop up a modal that looks like this, where you'll click into the file field, and it will work just like other web-based software that you've used, where it will go into your device's records files, and it will allow you to select the file that you want to choose and upload. And then you'll indicate which category you want that to save to, and then you'll provide a short description, and then you'll click save. And upon saving, it will just show you a new row within that list page or that table that has this attachment. This attachment can be viewed by anybody who has access to the person record. So they can view it within the browser itself, right within Evergreen, or there's also an option to download it if it needs to be downloaded. But you and my team, the OATS admin team, are the only individuals that can edit the attachment existence. So the file name, the description, the dates associated with it, and whether it is in the system or removed from the system. Only that can be done by you or someone on my team. When we go live, some data will already be uploaded to some of the person records. That is because in some cases we did not replicate forms exactly the same way as they exist in EIS. One of those examples is how I was saying that we've created this new comprehensive assessment, which combines the EIS, BMS 99, psychosocial, and V7. And because we merged that into a single form in Evergreen, the EIS forms weren't migrating as nicely into that new form and those new form fields as we would like them to. So we wanted you to be able to have access to those original forms in their appropriate format. So we're migrating EIS, BMS 99s, psychosocial assessments, V7s as uploaded attachments to the person record so that you can see the historic records as they existed and make your life a little bit easier than having to go search for that data. There may also be records already attached to a person's Evergreen record if they're under public guardianship or conservatorship. And that's because that program is already using Evergreen with those person records. So they may have already, that staff may have already uploaded attachments to that person record. Next slide, please, Miranda. This feature is called the Evergreen View Summary Shade. So it's available from within the person banner. So it is persistent when you're inside of the person record itself. And it's that icon that I've circled there that Miranda's showing you. It's called View Summary. This is referred to as a shade. And it's referred to as a shade because if you click on View Summary, what it will do is it will drop down this shade that you're seeing in the screenshot here over whatever page within the person's record you were on. So if you were in the person record on the demographics page, it would drop down over that. If you were inside of a form that you were creating, filling out, like a person-centered plan or a comprehensive assessment or DD intake and eligibility assessment, whatever form, if you click View Summary, it will drop the shade down over that page without you losing or having to navigate away from that form. And you can see the information that's available in here. And then you can simply click View Summary again, and it will roll that shade up or hide that shade and return you right to the page that you were actively working on. So this is a nice way to streamline your workflow or your process and not have to navigate away from a form that you're working on in order to get some key information. This View Summary shade is a core feature of our vendor's product, FEI's product. So we didn't have the ability to customize the content that's available in here. So the content that we'll display is diagnoses, medications, allergies, warnings, which are like alerts or some of the critical information, any language needs, so stuff that comes out of the communications section of the person demographic, eligibilities, so both financial and program eligibilities that are active on the person's record would show up here, care team, which is their assigned explicit relationships, like an assigned community case manager or an assigned public guardianship conservatorship representative, and then any emergency contacts that appear under their person record. So that's why we also still have under the person record that person summary. So we have View Summary shade and person summary under the record because we could not customize this View Summary shade to include some of the additional pieces of critical information that we feel that we wanted you to be able to get to quickly. So some of those things like waitlist status, living arrangements, like their crisis level and stuff like that, don't exist here in the summary shade, but they do exist under the person summary icon. Next slide, please, Miranda. This feature is the final feature that I want to highlight on today's webinar series, and it's called Notepad, and it's similar to if you've ever used like sticky notes on your smartphone or other app that's similar to sticky notes. Essentially, it's available from the top level persistent navigation. So no matter where you are in the site, whether you're inside of the context of a person record or in your notifications or in your messages or somewhere else, you can simply click on this little icon that Miranda is showing you, and it will pop up this modal that I've circled in red in the middle of the page, right over whatever page you're working on. And it will allow you to capture a note title and then a note description. So it's pretty basic, but it allows you to start capturing information and then saving. You can save that information and it will store it in your staff profile under your My Notes. And if your role has access to create progress notes, you can later navigate to this My Note in your profile and promote that to a person progress note, and it will store it against the person's record, and you can populate the remaining progress note fields of information. So it's just another, again, quick way to sort of streamline your process. If you're on, if you're working in the system and you receive a call from a person that you're serving or, family member or a guardian for that person, and you need to quickly start capturing information, you don't need to navigate away from what you're working on. You can just pop up this modal, capture the content, and then later finish the progress note. Next slide, please, Miranda. So we obviously recognize that one of the keys to a successful migration or transition to a new system is to provide lots of training and thorough training. So to this end, we're offering several types of training. Training will begin approximately 2 months ahead of our planned deploy date, and that will begin with a series of what are referred to as micro-learning videos. These are 2 to 3 minute video clips that have been pre-recorded. They'll be emailed out to you, and you'll be able to review those at a time that's convenient for you at your leisure. And you can review them as many times as you want, and they'll teach you basic navigation, very simple pieces of the site, how to log in, how to do a search, how to upload an attachment, how to create a progress note. There are several others, but those will be sent out to you. You'll be able to listen to those first before you participate in any of your training sessions. Then after that, the week after Thanksgiving, some of the ODE staff, including my team, Angela Faulkner's team, the community case management liaisons, a couple of other ODE staff members, will receive some super user training. This training is intended for us to get a very comprehensive training of the system so that we can be able to support all of you as you start learning the system and as we move into the system. The first week of December, ODE's, Betsy Hawkins' team and my team will offer some webinar style business process trainings. And these will be specific to certain forms and or modules within the system. For example, we'll do a session around the person-centered plan and planning process, as well as the service implementation piece of that. So some of the areas that are very business process heavy, and we want you to be able to be successful in using the new forms and the new system with those business processes. After that training, technical role-based training will start. This will be offered by our vendor, FEI. It will start in mid-December, and it will be topics that are offered based on roles in your role. Some roles, such as like community case manager or BI care coordinator, those will have several topics that you can train on. because there's a lot of forms and modules that those roles use. We've broken it into multiple topics that you can get training on. Other roles, such as like a crisis caseworker or a resource coordinator, there may only be one topic because there are fewer forms and modules that those individuals may need to be trained on. All topics will be offered on at least 2 different dates and times, multiple dates and times, so that hopefully one of those will work for your schedule. We are not requiring training. It is optional, although we strongly encourage it. But all training will be virtual. It will be in this style of a Zoom webinar-based training, and all of the training sessions will be recorded. So we'll post those to our project website. If you are unable to attend one of the sessions, you can always listen to the training after the fact. And those training recordings will be available to even people that did participate in the training to re-listen to as many times as you want. And they will continue to be available even after we go live for new staff that you hire on. You can have them review the training videos to get trained up on the new system. And we'll even upload the trainings right inside of the Evergreen system itself in our help center, along with other training guides and manuals and the little micro learning videos. Once your training topic has been trained on, you'll also be provided with access to our training sandbox environment. This is where you can log in, play around, familiarize yourself with the system before deploy. So you should have a couple, 3 weeks to do that between your role-based technical training and the deploy date. So want you to encourage you to do that and really start to feel comfortable with the system and collect any questions that you have as you've gone through your training and you've been navigating around in there on your own. And then you can come to, if you choose and you have some questions, you can come to one of the Q&A sessions that our vendor FEI will be offering, also webinar style, similar to this, where we'll have like the Q&A open and you can type your question in and we will respond to as many questions as we can on those Q&A sessions. And that will occur the week right before deploy. So that will be from January 9th through January 12th. And then I do want to just mention, as with any large electronic data system replacement project, there's going to be some very obvious benefits, some that I've shown you, some that you'll see in our upcoming webinars, but there will also be some issues. No project goes without issues, and we'll have to find ways to work around that together and make sure that you're well supported through that until we're able to make those fixes and or any future enhancements that we have planned for the system. We do already have future enhancements planned. So for that reason, and also just to help make the transition as smooth as possible for you, we're also offering post-deployment troubleshooting support. That will start on the day that we go live, January 16th, 2024. We have not yet figured out all the details about that post-deploy troubleshooting support, like how you'll access it, who will man it, how, what hours it will be available, what days it will be available, that kind of thing. But once we have more details about that, we'll certainly share that out with you in the future and before we get to training. Next slide, please, Miranda. This slide shows the remaining high-level project activities that the team will be completing between now and the deploy. The project team, along with some of the internal business resources and users of this EIS system, are already working on the first 3 activities that are listed in this table. Those are various testing and validation activities, along with data migration, validation, and the remediation of the issues that are being tracked there. The first 2 items are related to testing the functionality and the role-based access of the system, where the 3rd item is specific to the validation of the data that's being migrated. Once the functional testing has wrapped up, the team will begin activities for certifying the system's security with the state of Maine and ensuring that the system has achieved its intended outcomes with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's what's represented in the row of this slide that says system certification. At which time we will also hold simultaneously and overlapping, we will hold our training sessions, and we'll also be completing a dry run or a test deploy. So that's what you see in the training and deploy dry run rows of this table. The deployment itself is expected to take a minimum of 3 days. So we're currently planning to begin at 5 p.m. on Friday, January 12th, 2024. And we expect to have completed the deploy before 8 a.m. on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. During that window of the deployment, both EIS and Evergreen will be set into read-only mode. Users will still be able to access EIS and view records, but you won't be able to modify any records. And Evergreen will be unavailable to users altogether. And once the deploy has completed at 8 a.m. on, and sorry, I should say the reason for that is so that data can't be modified in either of those systems while we're migrating the data from one to the other. We want to make sure that all of the data gets migrated appropriately. At 8 a.m. on January 16th, Evergreen will be turned on for user access, turned back on for those that are currently production users, and on brand new for those of you that will be moving over into that system. And EIS will remain available in its read-only state. That's again to ensure smooth transition for you. You know where to find things in EIS. If you're struggling to find something quickly in Evergreen, you can always use your credentials to log back into EIS and find the record. You just won't be able to add any new records or modify any records in EIS. EIS will remain available in that read-only state for a minimum of 6 months post-deploy, and likely all the way through calendar year of 2024. We'll definitely convey the end date of that to you once we know exactly what that will be. Next slide, please, Miranda. So you're probably wondering what's next. Well, for starters, if you haven't already registered for the other 2 informational webinars that are being offered in the month of November, we would strongly encourage you to do that. We're going to share some other new features and benefits at our series from November 1st through the 3rd. We'll be sharing information on the reportable events form, the new streamlined reportable events form, and the progress notes form. And then at our series from November 13th to the 15th, we will be giving a sneak peek of the new streamlined person-centered planning and prior authorization process. You can find the links to register for those informational webinars in the email communication that went out on September 25th, or you can go to our project website and get them there. You can also continue to read our email communications that will be sent out. We'll likely send email communications after each of these webinar series, summarizing that and providing information to you. And you can also, and we also plan to send out email communications in the months of December and January, reminding you of training and the upcoming deploy. But between now and then, you can also be working on cleaning up your EIS data to ensure that it migrates as successfully as possible. You can find details about how to clean up your data and the steps to take to clean up your data in that email that came out on September 25th as well. The subject of that email was Update on Evergreen Release 3 Rollout. If you did not receive that email, it's likely because your email address is not accurate in the EIS system. So please reach out to the EIS support team to get that updated so that you are receiving our email communications. But you can always go to our project website. We always post all of our communications out there as well. And then the last piece here that I'll notify you of is we'll suggest that you register for your training topics once those training registration links get posted. We expect to post those on our project website sometime in early November, and we'll certainly notify you when those become available. Next slide, please, Miranda. So here's some ways that you can stay engaged and get support resources. We are very excited to announce the creation of a network of volunteers that's being referred to as the Change Champions. These are individuals who will help with the transition to Evergreen at the grassroots level. You can find out more information about who these Change Champions are and how you can get in touch with them by going to our project website. And you can also as I mentioned before, read the communications that are coming out from us, and update your EIS email address with our EIS support team at eissupport.dhhs@maine.gov. You can also email our project team at any time with any questions or feedback that you might have at evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov. And our project website URL is right here, maine.gov/dhhs/EIS/evergreen. All communications, all recorded webinars, all recorded training sessions, all of our frequently asked questions will continue to get updated after each of these webinar series. And as we receive emails with questions, we'll be adding those to our FAQ page out on that project website. Next slide, please, Miranda. So we've made it to the Q&A portion, and I do see we have a couple of questions already in the Q&A, so I'll certainly respond to those. If you have other questions, please feel free to start entering those into the Q&A for me, and you can find that with the little Q&A icon at the bottom of your Zoom window. The first question that we have is from Christina, and she asks, when you do a search for a person, do you enter last name first? Great question, Christina. The keyword search is not reliant on a specific order. Any words that you enter in there in whatever order they're in, first name, first name, part of a name, will be considered, and your results will filter to include only records that have all of the keywords that are entered in there. So if you put just the first name, it will provide all records that have that first name. If you provide just the last name, only records that have that last name. If you provide both, only records that contain both of those names. And you can use other values other than name as well in there. So if you know the A number, or you know something else, the EIS ID, you can use those types of keywords as well. And there's also an advanced search. So you can also click up the advanced search icon, and you can type directly into the first name field if you want it to search only first name field on that first name and return your results. So lots of ways to search. The next question comes from Kira. Are we still going to have a list of our clients that we can see, kind of like EIS Now? Great question, Kira. I did not show it in this demo or this presentation, but when you first log into the system, your landing page is what's referred to as the user dashboard. The dashboard has lots of cool features, and it has some similar features to what you have in EIS. And one of those is the caseload tile. So if you are a community case manager, a public guardianship representative, a state case manager, a BI care coordinator, and you have explicitly assigned persons, they will show up in your caseload tile. So you can navigate to the persons that way. If you're a more general user, like somebody from my team, or a ODES executive manager or something like that, and you don't have explicit relationships to person records, you won't have the caseload tile because you don't have persons that you're explicitly assigned to. So you do a search for the person that you're looking for. The search does retain your last 20 search results, so you can just quickly click those again and not have to re-enter the search every time. As a way to do that. The next question comes from Christina, and it asks about the EIS tickler feature. Yes, great question. Evergreen does have something similar to the ticklers. They are referred to as notifications in Evergreen, and we've actually enhanced and made that even more robust than EIS currently is. There are lots of actions and activities within the system that would trigger a notification. And notifications is available from the persistent navigation menu, that white bar at the top. So no matter where you are in the system, you can always navigate to your notifications. It is laid out in a table format, an Excel-like format. So you'll see each row, each notification will have its own row. The newer notifications will be at the top. It will work similar to like kind of how email works, in the sense that the new notifications will be bolded. And once you've read them, they will be unbolded, and then you can even like archive or remove those from your view once you've reviewed them and you don't need them anymore. Are there other questions at this time? I know we do still have 8 minutes together. If anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A. Also, to get a full list of questions that have been answered on the other webinars that already occurred, and we have an upcoming one more webinar at noon today, this same presentation. You can again go to our website. We'll be posting all of the questions and answers from all of the sessions out on our website again, probably early next week. Kira asks, what browser we'll be using? Also great question. Evergreen will work in most browsers. However, we do recommend and guarantee the Chrome browser, but it will likely work in all of your browsers. We just haven't tested it thoroughly in browsers such as like Safari. But Chrome, definitely, we encourage use of Chrome. Edge, it will work in Edge, and may also work just well in Safari. Any other questions at this time? I certainly appreciate the questions. You guys have asked some really great questions, and helpful for me to know what's on your mind. So if there are no other questions, we can certainly wrap up a couple minutes early. Again, the recording will be posted out on our website early next week. And if you think of any questions after the fact, please don't hesitate to send them to us at evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov, and we'll certainly respond to those and also post those out on our FAQ. Thank you all. Everybody have a great Friday and a wonderful weekend.